Howdy, everybody. Good evening. I'm using my laptop tonight, and so it's got a little bit better camera than what I've been using, and so you'll be able to see this video a little bit better. Tonight's chapter 6 of Ken Schoolin's The Adventures of Jonathan Gullible, Free Market Odyssey. This chapter is rather short, and so I'm going to share some song lyrics at the end of the video tonight that I think are relevant to the lesson in today's chapter. Before we start, the chapter starts with a quote from Franklin Roosevelt, which is a little odd because I'm not sure he agreed with the lessons that are taught in this book, but it is a quote from him, and it's a decent one. So here it is: "We and all others who believe in freedom as deeply as we do would rather die on our feet than live on our knees, and those who defy the government's manipulations stand proud." That's Franklin Roosevelt. All right, so here's chapter 6, the toll tax. And this, of course, is read with permission of the author. As Jonathan strode through the town, he immediately noticed a dignified, well-dressed man kneeling in the street, trying to painfully walk. Yet the man didn't appear to be crippled, just short. Jonathan offered a helping hand, but the man brushed him aside. "No, thank you," said the man, wincing in pain. "I can walk okay." "Using knees takes some getting used to." "You're okay, but why don't you get off your knees and walk on your feet?" "Ooh," moaned the man, squirming in discomfort. "It's a minor adjustment to the tax code." "The tax code?" repeated Jonathan. "What's the tax code have to do with walking?" "Everything." "Ow!" By now the man settled back on his heels, resting from his torturous ordeal. He pulled a handkerchief from his shirt pocket and mopped his brow. He lifted his balance to massage one knee, then the other. Many layers of worn-out patches had been sewn on at the knees. "The tax code," he said, "has recently been amended to level the field for people of different heights." "Level the field?" asked Jonathan. "Please stoop over so I don't have to shout," pleaded the man. "That's better. The Council of Lords decided that tall people have too many advantages." "Advantages of tallness?" "Oh, yes. Tall people are always favored in hiring, promotion, sports, entertainment, politics, and even marriage." "Ooh!" He wrapped the handkerchief around the newest of many rips in his gray pants. "So the Lords decided to level us with a stiff tallness tax." "Tall people get taxed?" Jonathan glanced sideways and felt his posture begin to droop. "We're taxed in direct proportion to our height." "Did anyone object?" asked Jonathan. "Only those who refuse to get on their knees," the man said. "Of course, we've allowed an exemption for politicians. We usually vote tall. We like to look up to our leaders." Jonathan was dumbfounded. By now, he found himself slouching, self-consciously, trying to shrink. With both hands pointing down at the man's knees, he questioned incredulously, "You'll walk on your knees just for a tax break?" "Sure," replied the man in a pained voice. "Our whole lives are shaped to fit the tax code. There are some who have even started to crawl." "Wow, that must hurt," Jonathan exclaimed. "Yeah, but it hurts more not to." "Ow! Only fools stand erect and pay the higher taxes. So if you want to act smart, get on your knees. It'll cost you plenty to stand tall." Jonathan looked around to see a handful of people walking on their knees. One woman across the street was slowly crawling. Many people scurried about half crouching, their shoulders hunched over. Only a few walked proudly erect, ignoring their sanctions completely. Then Jonathan caught sight of 3 gentlemen across the street sitting on a park bench. "Those 3 men," indicated Jonathan. "Why are they covering their eyes, ears, and mouths?" "Oh, them? They're practicing," replied the man as he leaned forward on his knees to shuffle along, "getting ready for a new series of tax proposals." And that is the end of chapter 6. So now I'd like to share with you some song lyrics from my very favorite band. As I was reading this chapter tonight, it occurred to me that this song is very relevant to the same lesson that's taught by the chapter. This is a song some of you will be familiar with and some of you perhaps not. If you're not familiar with it, you're in for a treat. This is by a band called Rush, and the song is called "The Trees." Now, if you don't have a little bit of background on Rush, it's a 3-piece band. The lyricist was the drummer. He passed away about 2 months ago. Neil Peart, who wrote pretty much all the lyrics for Rush and was not only a talented rock star and drummer, perhaps the best drummer that ever played. but also a talented lyricist and a deeply concerned libertarian, as you'll be able to tell from the lyrics. So this is The Trees by Rush, and I'm just going to read the lyrics. There is unrest in the forest. There is trouble with the trees, for the maples want more sunlight, and the oaks ignore their pleas. The trouble with the maples, and they're quite convinced they're right. They say the oaks are just too lofty, and they grab up all the light. But the oaks can't help their feelings if they like the way they're made, and they wonder why the maples can't be happy in their shade. There is trouble in the forest, and the creatures all have fled, as the maples scream oppression, and the oaks just shake their heads. So the maples formed a union and demanded equal rights. The oaks are just too greedy. We will make them give us light. Now there's no more oak oppression, for they passed a noble law, and the trees are all kept equal by hatchet, axe, and saw. And that is The Trees by Rush. gives me chills. I will put a link to the song on YouTube in the comments. If anybody who hasn't heard the song would like to hear it, it is musically it's fantastic. Lyrically, well, you've just heard the lyrics, so you know how fantastic it is lyrically too. And I will see you tomorrow with Chapter 7, and Chapter 7 is titled Best Laid Plans. Have a good night, friends, and thank you for watching.